guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am really excited because I am answering all of the Q&A questions that you guys left for me on the video which I put up last week and also on my Instagram channel. I haven't checked my ask, but if there are any on there I will just reply to them directly on there rather than answering them in the video because I'm not currently signed in on my phone and it just seems like so much effort to go and do that. So yeah, these are just the questions from the YouTube video and from my Instagram. I will link my Instagram account down below if you're not following me, so you can go and do that if you would like to. But let's get into the questions. So, before we do, you would notice that I have a different backdrop today, and that is because I am filming in my lounge room. I'm currently redoing my office, which is the room that I usually film in. And so I just thought I'd film in here, and I have a really big window right in front of me, so the lighting should be good. I hope it looks good here filming it. Sometimes it ends up looking weird once you actually get to editing it, but hopefully it looks good. So let me know if it is, and I may end up just filming my sit down talk kind of videos from here from now on, because yeah, why not? Change of scenery and all that. So I've wasted a minute and a half. Questions. I'm going to do the YouTube video questions first, and then I'll do the Instagram questions. So the first question is from Omar and Hannah, and she has asked, what inspired you to start a YouTube channel, and what is your favorite summer activity with Spike? What inspired me to start a YouTube channel? I guess I had watched YouTubers, equestrian YouTubers. My cat's here. Yeah, so I guess I'd watched equestrian YouTubers in the past, and I just thought that it looked like lots of fun. And yeah, so I guess that was really what inspired me, was watching other people's videos. And yeah, and I know a lot of you guys might know that I have a blog, so that was just like something extra that I could do in like addition to my blog. So I just started one, and here we are. And my favourite summer activity with Spike is probably giving him baths, because he used to hate bath time. Like, he was the worst horse in the world to bath. You couldn't even get near him with a wet sponge. And yeah, so me having him for however many years I have had him now, we've worked on getting him used to being bathed. So getting him used to, firstly, it was just getting him used to a wet sponge, getting him used to being sponged down, and we've kind of built up to eventually being able to hose him. It was obviously something that the people before me who had owned him had never done with him, which is weird. Who doesn't bath their horse? Sorry if you don't. But so here in Australia, like, it's obviously really hot. He's on pasture all year round, or he's out in the paddock all year round, so he gets kind of dirty, and from time to time I do like to bath him. So it was definitely something he needed to learn. And we kind of went from this horse who was like afraid of a sponge to one that now enjoys baths and likes to be bathed. So that's probably my favorite thing to do with him, and I guess that's just because that's something that I taught him. And yeah, it was good fun. My next question is from Maddie, and she said, how long have you been riding? I have been riding since I was a kid. I had started lessons when I was about 14, I think. So I just say that that's the age that I started riding, because that's when I actually started taking lessons. All my horse riding experience before then was just riding other people's horses and just having fun. She's also asked future goals. My goals for this year, I have a few of them. Definitely to start riding Spike more now that we have his saddle fitted. I'd like to start competing him in some low-level dressage. I don't know whether that will happen this year, probably not. It'll probably we'll be looking more to do that early next year. Learn to tow a horse float is another big one for me. I just got a new car this year. I got a truck. Before that I just had like little kind of cars that you couldn't tow with. So learning to tow is another one of my horse related goals. And I'd also like to do at least 2 clinics this year. So I'll just have to see what comes up to whether I can do any of that. My phone has locked itself. She's also asked, what is my favorite horse related memory? And I have quite a few favorite horse related memories, but I suppose my favorites would be from when I was living in Coffs Harbour, and we had 4 horses, and one of my friends lived with me for a little while, and we just did horse stuff like all day, every day. We went trail riding and just, you know, went out and spent time with the horses and looked after them, and it was like, I don't know, it was like being at summer camp or something. Like, we just did something horse related every single day for like 2 weeks or something, and it was just lots of fun. So that's probably my favorite horse related memory. And her last question is, what are your other hobbies outside of riding? And I guess I just have like normal hobbies, I suppose, like you guys would. I like to read. I'm a big reader. I'm writing my own novel, so that takes up a lot of my time. And I love to travel as well. I took my first overseas trip last year, and can definitely say that I have been bitten by the travel bug, and I am just planning where to go next. So that is definitely a super big hobby of mine as well now, I guess, if you could call it a hobby. Yeah, so that's that. My phone has locked itself again. Kate has asked, do you have a favorite horse trainer or a training method that you follow? I have lots of horse trainers who I like, who I admire. I don't necessarily have a favorite. I guess I have followed a few different training methods over all the years I've been working with horses, riding horses. I've mentioned in previous videos before that I'm using Warwick Schiller's program to re-educate Spike at the moment. So following his program, but other trainers that I like, there's a whole bunch of them, and I could honestly sit here all day and tell you who they are, but I won't, because then this video would get extremely long. But just to name a couple, Stacey Westfall, because I think what she does with her horses is just incredible. Monty Roberts, because he's a legend, and obviously everyone knows who he is. I was lucky enough to meet him a few years ago when he came to Australia, and that was amazing. Warwick Schiller, as I mentioned, and then some local trainers who are close by me, who I follow, and you know, have seen their work and just think that they're great too. So yeah, there's all of those people. Next question is by Horse Lou, and I'm sorry, it looks Lou, I'm sorry, she, we'll go with that, has asked, favorite horse color. My favorite horse color is grey. I love greys. I've always loved greys. I would love to own a grey. My favorite tack brand. My favorite tack brand. I don't know if I have one, honestly. I'll buy whatever, pretty much. But if I had to pick a favorite piece of tack at the moment, it would be my Wintec saddle. So let's just go with Wintec. Favorite horse markings. I love horses that have lots of bling, so lots of white points. Yeah, I just think, you know, lots and lots and lots of white points is really nice on a horse. I like it. I don't know why. Have you ever worked with foals? No, I haven't. I've had one mare in my life, and she was my first and last. I will never own a mare again. I prefer my geldings. I have no interest in breeding horses whatsoever. So no, I've never worked with foals, and I probably never will. And she's also asked my favorite breed. My favorite breed would have to be warm bloods. I have a warm blood. I just think they are incredible horses. Yeah, so warm bloods. Equitate. When was the last time you were really challenged in your riding? It may have been with a difficult horse, like difficulty mastering a movement, etc. And I am challenged every time I work my horse. I can't pick just one time when I was really challenged, because every single time I work him is challenging. And that's not because he's a bad horse, that's just because we're currently re-educating him and we're trying to teach him new things. And I think sometimes, well, not sometimes, most of the time when you're trying to teach a new horse, it can be challenging to teach them what it is you're trying to teach them, especially when it's things that they're doing for the first time, that they've never done before, or that, you know, you're working on still. So I'm challenged every time I work with my horse, but I think that's good because that's what makes you a better horse person and a better rider, and I want to be challenged. I don't ever want to get on a push button pony because that's just not what I want. I want a horse that I want to work with. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, I'm ranting. Every time I ride, I'm challenged, let's just say that. And the last question from my YouTube video is from Lindsay Vincent, and they've asked, have you ever competed? Yes and no. More no than yes. I've ridden pony club before, so I guess that's kind of competing, not properly, but no, I've never properly competed before. I grew up in a really small country town, and there wasn't really a great deal to do there as far as horses went. You know, most of the horse work that we did was just trail rides and pony club here and there. So I never really, I guess, got the opportunity to compete, but obviously that's something I'd like to do down the future. Down the track in the future. There we go. Okay, so on to the Instagram questions. The first lot of questions are from Equine Dutch Girl, and she has asked, how often do you ride? Not that often, and that's because, as I said, I'm re-educating Spike, so a lot of what we've been doing with him recently has been on the ground. I did hop on him 2 weekends ago just to kind of get an idea of where he was at and what we still needed to work on, but that was sort of the first time I had ridden him since the end of last year, so he doesn't get ridden that often, and that's because we're re-educating him, and I want to make sure everything that we do with him on the ground is good before we progress to anything under saddle. So she's also said, what do you do when you ride? So like I said, I don't ride that often, but when I rode him last weekend, we worked on disengaging and lateral flexion. So we did both of those things on the ground and then transferred them under saddle, and also teaching him to stop properly because he doesn't have particularly good brakes. So that's something that we're working on as well, but like I said, there's still a lot of work to do with him on the ground before we can sort of move on to stuff in the saddle properly. And her last question was, what is your biggest equestrian dream? My biggest equestrian dream right now would just to get Spike back in full-time work. I know that's not a huge dream, but he has never really had any consistent work because of his sway back. And yeah, so right now that's my main dream, my main goal, and then from that, obviously, I'd like to start competing him in some low-level dressage competitions locally to me. So they're my big equestrian dreams for right now. Yeah. Haas Rider has asked, what are your equestrian goals for 2016? And I covered those just before. I don't think I have any that I want to add to that. Not that I can remember. Other than buying a horse float, but I don't know if that's something I'll do in 2016, but it's definitely a goal of mine. SB.Hurst has asked, do you have an equestrian bucket list? Yes, I do. A float is obviously one of those really big things that is on that bucket list, but then there's also a whole bunch of other small stuff on there as well, like building my breeches collection, because that's my new obsession. And I want to get a full shocker mole set, so that's on my bucket list. And I think that might be it. I don't know. I do have it written down somewhere, but I just can't remember what's on it. I've also asked, how often do you ride with other people? Not that often, only because I'm not riding at the moment, and I don't really have anyone to ride with at my barn at the moment either. So not often. Montana has asked, how old is your horse / what breed is he? He's a warm blood cross thoroughbred, and he's 13 years old. He was 13 on the 3rd of January. Amber Wilkinson has asked, what encouraged you to make a blog / YouTube channel? So I love to write. I've always loved to write, and I'm obviously passionate about horses. I love horse riding, I love horses, so I kind of just decided that I wanted to do both of those things together. So I started my blog, which is called Brunette in Breeches, brunetteinbreeches.com if you want to look it up, shameless plug. And yeah, so I started that at the end of last year, and it sort of just started out as a place where I could write about my life as a horse owner, and then also kind of became a place where I shared Spike's story. And it's kind of, yeah, just been evolving ever since. And then I had been watching lots of videos on YouTube of equestrian YouTubers, and I just thought, you know what, that would be a really fun way to also, I guess, not get the blog out there, but get Spike's story out there more, and tell his story in a way that's visual, a way that people can watch rather than just, you know, reading something or seeing pictures, but to show them in a way where they can actually see him and kind of keep up with him that way. So yeah, that was what inspired and encouraged me to start blogging and start making YouTube videos. Anna Fish 2004 has asked, how did you fall in love with horses? I honestly don't remember. I've always loved horses. I've always wanted horses ever since I was little. And I don't really know why. None of my family are particularly horsey. Actually, none of them are horsey at all. No one else in my family rides apart from me. So yeah, I kind of have no explanation as to how I fell in love with horses, but I just always knew I wanted to have horses and to ride horses. And my last question from Instagram is from Amber Watson, and she has asked, what made you decide that you wanted to buy your horse? And honestly, there was really no one big thing that made me decide to buy him. I recently put up a video where I sat down and spoke to you guys about and told you his the story of how I got him, my horse hunt. And if you've watched that, you'd know it was a really long video and a really long-winded story. I will link it down below, so definitely check it out if you haven't already, because it kind of answers this question in detail, which I won't do here because then this video would be very long. But yeah, there was really no one thing that made me want to buy him. I kind of just felt at the time that it was the right decision for me and that I was supposed to own him. And all of the why behind that is explained in that horse hunt video, which I will link down below. So that is all the questions from my Q&A. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'm sorry it is really long. But yeah, that happens, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.